I can see I've been unsuccessful in gaining your attention with the Ducks Fight song. Welcome to PubTalk, everybody. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. The Ducks a round of applause. Go Ducks. If you haven't been to PubTalk before, you're in for some big surprises. We talk big data here. We talk food. We tell jokes. We sing songs. We do stand up and greet each other, and we talk about important things with the trifecta. I call it the great trifecta: entrepreneurs, beer, and pizza. So thank you for being here tonight. I want to welcome you all and also thank our title sponsors, Columbia Bank, Carnot Peterson, and UBS Rivera Wealth Management, as well as our sponsors, supporting sponsors, Jones and Roth CPAs, which thank you for the flowers, Jones and Roth CPAs. How did that happen? Do we need to announce the score? Sure. Do you want to know? Well, 69 Oregon, 68 Michigan. Thank you, Jim. And apparently we're into sports analytics also. So, it's nice when everybody sits down and pays very close attention. I love that. How are you guys doing? Great. You're sitting in the front. Be careful. Okay, supporting sponsors, Jones and Ross CPAs, COCC's Small Business Development Center. Steve Curley is here. Central Oregon Association of Realtors, CORE. Do we say CORE or do we say COAR? CORE. CORE. Awesome. Like SOAR, only CORE. And VLOX Systems. Okay, so we do this great thing at the beginning with our sponsors, and we have made a decision recently that our sponsors come up and give us some sort of interesting content. And for all of you that have been in reviewing entrepreneurial companies, you know that a core part of being an entrepreneur, if you're looking for funding, is the pitch. And the pitches are usually timed. So the last couple meetings we've been timing our sponsors just to have them feel that pressure of the entrepreneurs. So we call it Twinkle 'em, because what we do is we play a little twinkle tone when they reach their time. So the idea here is for the sponsors to avoid being twinkled. And you think that's funny? Just joking. That's the other thing I should say is, for those of you that haven't been here, sometimes it's hard to tell if I'm joking, and I'm actually very funny. So, yeah, so if I say something funny and you don't laugh, I raise my hand, and then that's your cue. Okay, ready? So, perfect. Ryan McHugh from UBS, would you like to join us up here and give us a sponsor's 2-minute?
All right, thanks, Julie, for letting me go first. Can you twinkle me at like 3 minutes, maybe? Uh-oh. All right. So good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan McHugh. I'm a past EDCO board member and current financial supporter of PubTalk with my partner, Keith Rivera. So our job as wealth managers is not only to help people protect and preserve their hard-earned assets, but it's to grow them at a reasonable rate of return. And so we do this within a diverse, risk-managed portfolio that can often include a significant portion of taxable or tax-free fixed income. As you guys might know, bonds. So that's what I'm going to talk about. So why on earth would you want to own bonds today if we know rates are rising, right? Yahoo Finance article, your blogger, your trusted media figureheads, right? Rates are rising, and someday we're all going to lose money in bonds when they rise. So I'm here to argue with you that might not be the case. I have left a sheet on some of these tables here that shows the last time the Federal Reserve hiked interest rates. So back in 2004 to 2006, they moved the federal funds rate from 1% all the way up to 5% in 2 years. So this was a huge, huge move. And during that time period, the 10-year Treasury bond didn't change. It started at about 5% and it ended at about 5%. So what happened? How come nobody lost any money as predicted? what I want to tell you is that bonds are like regular investments. Supply and demand drives the price, not the government. They can control the federal funds rate. So if you think this current rate cycle that's starting could be any different, I'd want you to take a look at the world interest rates. A 10-year German bond right now pays 0.5%, 1/5 of what the U.S. Treasury does, 1% for France. Japan, almost zero. Give them your money, 10 years later, you get it back. Great deal, right? So all I want to get at is that expect global situations to keep supply, or I should say, demand on bonds very, very high. And so during this rate cycle, you might be surprised that things don't change. So we're not just bond people. We want to talk to you. My name again is Ryan McHugh. Thank you.
I just love that part. Yeah. Thank you, Ryan, so much, and thanks for being a good sport about getting twinkled. So I'd like to invite Kurt Barker from Carnot Peterson up. Kurt.
Hey everybody, Kurt Barker with Carnot Peterson, employment, intellectual property, and trial lawyer. I've got with me one of my favorite people.
Adam Adkin, I'm an associate attorney at Carnot Peterson. I also do employment law and business transactions.
His real job here tonight is to make sure I do not attempt a legal update. Isn't that right, Adam? You said no legal update? Okay, no legal update. We're going to go zero law tonight, but I want to give a quick shout out to a couple people. I love coming to PubTalk. We love sponsoring it. There are always people in the room that inspire me, so I want to quickly shout out to one of them and raise my formidable glass to the Ben Chamber Woman of the Year, Julie. Oh, actually, this is going to give away. Yeah. This will be for the giveaway. That was a toast. Sorry, I think she thought she was getting the drink tank. Now I feel like an ass. That was a toast. Everyone toast Julie. Thank you. Julie, I will buy you a beer and make up for this. Yeah. I kind of think the audience called for that. I'm going to have a riot if I try my trivia giveaway. Seriously, you got to take it. Yeah. Everyone needs a Carnot Peterson, emblazed drink tank. I also just have to do a quick shout out because another person is here who inspires me. My wife, Talina, my Woman of the Year. She is. Yeah. Thank you. That's a good sign because a little bird told me she's going to be pitching Mission Limelight to you all sometime around this summer. So I will be there. You'd better be too. Thank you. Thanks. It's
going to be a lot of work to drink everything that's in here. Thank you so much. That's very nice of you. I really appreciate it. And this has this cool keg cap that goes on top of it too that you can dispense the beverage with, which and says, does it say, yeah, Carnot Peterson right on it. Awesome. Okay. How about Taylor Thompson from Columbia Bank? Taylor?
Well, thanks for that introduction. It always feels like a Tony Robbins event in here. Oh my gosh, unleash the power. I hate following Kurt because I never have anything to give away. You know, we're bankers, we don't give anything away. So it's really disappointing to get up here and do that, Kurt. I didn't plan this out. But thanks for coming out tonight. My name's Taylor Thompson. I'm with the Commercial Lending Group at Columbia Bank here in Bend. We have a great group here. As you all know, or maybe you don't know, the Feds raised the rates last week. It's up a little bit. They anticipate that to go up maybe a couple more times this year. Not sure. So I can just see everybody super excited about that out here. I'm looking around. Yeah, rates are up. So what I would say is this, that if you were even thinking about locking down your variable rate loan that you have, Maybe you have a 7A SBA loan out there. Maybe you've gotten something on, maybe a quarterly adjust or maybe even a monthly adjust rate. It's a good time to be revisiting that, maybe thinking about taking advantage of the long-term rate environment, which is still pretty good. We'd love to help you with that. We have experience in-house. We can do term loans. We can do equipment loans, all those things on longer-term bases. So I would recommend that you revisit that, take a look at your portfolios, and see if that makes sense. One of the things we also want to highlight, Corey brought that up at our last Pub Talk, if you are a business owner or if you know of a business that has been growing rapidly in the last 3 years, we'd like to invite you to be a part of the Fastest 20. Take advantage of this. This has an application here. It's a really simple thing. They're just asking about revenues for the past 3 years, and then Cascade Business News will be measuring that with SGA, and they're going to publish the percentage of increase. And you might be one of those top 20. And if you're named as the Fastest 20, it comes with media coverage and an invitation to the event in November. So please feel free to see me or Corey or Christina. We'd love to get you one of these. It's an awesome opportunity for some free press. And I beat that, didn't I? Thank you very much.
1 minute and 59 seconds. Okay, so this is like one of my favorite parts of the program, and you'll see if you come regularly that the program is similar in its structure every time, but the content is slightly different. But this group, I think, deserves a lot of acknowledgement. It's the EDCO staff. They do a tremendous amount of work in our community. This event is typically run in a flawless manner. And it's really the work that this team does behind the scenes to make sure that's true. So Aaron Chad, the operations manager, Brian Vieira, venture catalyst, Terry Hockett, technology industry coordinator, Aaron Riley, events and membership, Elise Rossman, EDCO's newest team member, director of marketing and communications. Elise, where are you? In the other room, I guess. Hopefully paying very close attention to the program. Hey, Elise. So if you haven't met Elise, find her, meet her. She's awesome. Steve Parnell, the Pine Sun River manager. David Haynes, EDCO intern. Caroline Prineville, Crook County manager. And Roger Lee. And Roger, I'd like to invite you up for a director's minute. And let's give everybody a round of applause while he makes his way up.
Thanks, Julie. Well, it's good to be back with you. It's been several months. Hear that there was some kind of face on a stick. So $10, anyone who can find and confiscate that. Julie's creative way of having a placeholder here for me. So speaking of Julie, from EDCO, congratulations on your Woman of the Year award from the Ben Chamber. Ben Chamber, thank you for putting that on. That's an awesome thing to do. What you may not know is that Julie's part of a very small group of women that actually are fund managers as a Cascade Angels fund manager. It's my understanding about 90% of that industry is kind of dominated by men fund managers. So I think it's all the more poignant that you'd have that award and represent folks in this industry for that. Also want to mention, along with Julie's award, Shannon Keith, who's been up on stage here several times with Sedera, was named as the Entrepreneur Woman of the Year. So when you see her, give her a shout out as well. So congratulations to you both. So I would like to make you aware again that EDCO is in search of an outstanding director of membership. It's a newly created position for the organization. Actually, Eric Strobel and Sarah Lindsay at BBSI are heading up the search. So if you know someone, or maybe you yourself may be a fit for this new role, please reach out to them. I'll give you a quick update. Another news, we're excited to enter into a new era of cooperation and partnership with the region's tourism agencies, including Visit Bend and the Central Oregon Visitors Association. This month, Visit Bend is launching a campaign targeting businesses in the outdoor gear and apparel industry, which has seen significant growth in our regions over the past few years. So we'll be marketing our #1 rankings this year from Forbes and the Milken Institute, along with the exciting degree programs being launched by OSU Cascade, and the successes such as Hydro Flask, Cairn, Drink Tanks, Snow Planks, and other outdoor companies who have also taken the stage here at PubTalk over the years. it's exciting to see this kind of level of cooperation and collaboration with economic development and tourism. In my tenure here, something I've not seen to this level, period, and maybe it's even been longer. So a lot of people don't realize that tourism really kind of helped transform this place with destination resort overlays and attracting people to come visit and stay here 40 years ago. So we're also very pleased with some of the industry development progress that's been happening in high technology and bioscience through Terry Hockett's work with TAO, Technology Association of Oregon, and Oregon Bioscience Association. Each of these industries are on the cusp of explosive growth and investment in our region, so look for more information on this in the months ahead, probably in your local media. And last but not least, I want to say that hopefully we'll have some exciting news coming up here when it comes to helping our emerging workforce really get better connected to job opportunities, and I think making their education more meaningful. And we're looking at some exciting partnerships that really come out of Better Together. And so hopefully next month I'll be able to give you an update, a little bit what's more that's happening on that. So I think that's my director's minute and a half, or maybe two. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Roger, and thank you for the acknowledgement. That means a lot. I really appreciate it. Okay, so EDCO's newest members. If you're here in the room, or if you're in the other room, let us know you're here. Tech Tools LLC, Shepherd Wealth, and Sudara. Any shout outs from any of those folks in the room? Okay. Great. Well, thank you for joining. And now I'd like to move us into our program. So it's really my pleasure tonight to introduce CEO Justin Johnson, who's going to give an update on Lead Method. Lead Method happens to be a Cascade Angels portfolio company, so I've had the pleasure of doing some work with Justin over the last few years. It's a Bend-based channel revenue optimization software company that helps businesses that sell through partners to better engage leads, track opportunities and manage quotes. The company has experienced significant growth over the last year, which we love for all kinds of reasons. It's doubled its staff, and it's positioning its technology and team for significant scale. So let's hear more from Justin about their recent success. Justin?
All right, well, thanks for that introduction, Julie. As Julie mentioned, my name is Justin Johnson, founder and CEO of Lead Method. Does that sound okay? Got some reverb. And if you don't remember anything else in this pitch, remember that as of 3 hours ago, we are in the black. So it may not last long, but because we're hiring a bunch of folks, but it felt good while it lasted. So we are a channel revenue optimization software company, and really what that means is that we target companies that sell through independent reps and distributors, primarily manufacturers, and we help them optimize their sales channel, track leads and opportunities, and ultimately increase revenue. So for those that haven't heard our story before, imagine you're a vice president of sales at a large manufacturing company, such as DuPont or Honeywell or 3M, large companies. And you make a product, but you rely on these independent reps and distributors, these channel partners that are scattered throughout the world, and a lot of these folks have 20 or 2,000 different reps. And you value these relationships, and so you spend thousands, if not millions of dollars on leads and opportunities and pass these leads off to these channel partners. And that's really where the problem starts. These huge manufacturers that are putting a huge amount of effort into it don't hear anything back. They don't know if leads are contacted. They don't know if opportunities are being followed up on. They can't do return on investment on their marketing spend. Publicly traded companies that don't understand forecasting to communicate with Wall Street because they don't understand what's happening with their sales channel. So a major problem, and I'm happy to say that we have a really, really strong product market fit. Lead Method addresses the problem by focusing on the engagement of these channel partners and collecting the critical feedback, which leads to a tremendous amount of data. We don't believe that channel partners should log into software. It's a huge barrier for them to communicate. And we also don't want them to learn software. And so we take a very different approach. Here's an example. If you're a channel partner and you're sent a lead by a manufacturer, we're asking them to click a button to accept a lead or deny it. And then we work through a workflow process to collect additional data about that. And so that's really what we do. It's worked really well. Our clients are seeing huge increases in engagement and feedback and loyalty from their channel partners, and they're increasing revenue between 10 and 20%. So that's a really good thing and something that they continue to roll, and we haven't lost a client. So we're really excited about that. Okay, to the update. So you heard about the profitability update. In the last year, since our last PubTalk, a little more than a year ago, we've doubled revenue, bumping right up against that $1 million ARR mark, which is really, really awesome and hard to get to as an enterprise B2B software company. We've doubled staff, several of which are in the room here. Really, really proud of what we've done. Folks are working really hard, and I can't thank them enough. And it's really the celebration of coming up with an original idea just a few years ago, executing it, solving a major problem for large corporations, and we're getting a significant amount of money from them. And that's something that I'm really, really proud of our team for accomplishing. So another biz strategy update that's really special to us is that it's hard to go out and just sell software. There's a lot of commotion out there, a lot of noise, Salesforce, SAP, Oracle, a lot of these large companies that get a lot of the mind share. We have a different approach. We sell to a manufacturer, and then they leverage this software to their channel partners. We're starting to create relationships with these channel partners now and leverage those relationships. They're recommending us to their other manufacturing partners they have, and we've created this network effect that's really special and really hard to do. So we're going all at it, and it's really exciting when you have this field sales force that you don't even have a relationship with that's recommending you to other people. So we're expecting some serious growth when that comes to that. The other thing is we built a product, and there's a lot of SaaS products out there, but it's really hard to get a platform play here. We're building, and we just actually completed our lead method platform, which means that we're integrating with lots of other different types of software, Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, Oracle, and the manufacturer has these products, the distributors have these products, and we're essentially an electronic data exchange for information to be flowing back and forth, and another really, really significant move for us. So what's next? We're going to continue to leverage this distributor and channel partner relationships, really optimize these client success in these relationships we've built with our clients as they refer out, and then just push the platform play. We've got several hires out there. My ask is there's a lot of great folks, a lot of talented people in town. We recruit from some of the big cities as well as Bend. Check out our job board. We'd love to talk to you. We're going to continually need lots of folks in the Java and Mongo development stack, salespeople, as well as client success. So that's us. Appreciate the opportunity.
So, Justin, because we're in 3 rooms, I'm going to repeat the questions. Okay? So, because we're in several rooms, the way we handle the Q&A is I'll ask for questions, and then I'll call on you, and then I'll repeat the questions so that the people in the other room can hear. Okay? So, questions for Justin? Yes. Right. So yeah, congratulations on retiring. It's awesome. Wait, so congratulations on retiring from that company, and tell us how you differentiate from Salesforce.
It's a great question. Thank you. Salesforce is an amazing tool. You can run your entire organization off it, and they have a huge group. Originally, they're built for inside sales teams, most CRM products. The unique thing about a channel partner is they're a unique and individual business that has their own processes and tools. I've never heard of any manufacturer asking a distributor or channel partner to log into their instance of Salesforce and learn this, I'll call it clunky software. It's heavy, it takes a long, and it's why their training department probably is the most profitable in the whole company. It takes a lot. So we have a direct integration with Salesforce. What happens is a lead will originate in Salesforce. They'll decide to pass a lead off to their channel partner. They'll click a button. That's when lead method catches it. We call ourselves channel engagement. We'll get the engagement, we'll get the information, and then we'll, in real time, pass it back to Salesforce so the management has a dashboard showing everything that they were missing before. They can understand their direct sales team, but when it comes to the channel, it's nearly impossible. So that's where we're coming in. And about half of our clients have Salesforce integration, which is really exciting.
Amanda?
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience of having a startup in Bend?
Can you tell us a little bit about having your experience of having a startup in Bend?
I could talk for days about this. We moved from Seattle 3 years ago to start this business. We had the foundation and we moved here. We didn't want to move our people with us. We built it here. It's been difficult to hire the talent that we have. I would put our talent, our folks against anyone in the state or the region. And we weren't going to settle for anything less. There's fewer people in Bend, for sure, than the major cities. It's kind of funny. One of our investors, I remember the first time I met him, is in Seattle. And they said, you know, it's not an orange flag, it's a red flag that you're in Bend. You moved from Seattle, you had everything at your disposal, you had investors, you had talent, you had all these different folks. And I said, have you ever met anybody from Bend? I said, we operate at a really high level, type A personality. We're on our mountain bikes at 5 a.m., we're working a town hour a day, we're being with our family, and we're still crushing it. So that's my response. I wouldn't do it anywhere else. It's been phenomenal. And, you know, to us, we don't have any clients in Bend. They're worldwide. So we get on a plane and we fly to them, we do our thing.
Question? Yes. We'll take SJ and then the person behind.
So Justin, following up a little bit on Amanda's question, you've done this in a bunch of people in this room, probably the similar position to you. What are your short-term biggest challenges and what are your short-term biggest opportunities?
So there's a lot of people in this room kind of facing the same challenges. What are your short-term challenges and what are your short-term opportunities? Did I get that? Okay. Number one, top two.
Great question, SJ. It's recruiting is the number one challenge, for sure. I think nobody will disagree with that. And even convincing people to move to Bend, as silly as that sounds, is difficult. You have a spouse that has to find a job, and you know we're paying at market Portland wages. It's not a problem for us, but there's some challenges there. Opportunity, the folks that live in this town, and I think everyone will agree, are special, especially those that have been there and done that. I just sort of glanced over at Tony Abina, for example. I mean, the guy's done a tremendous amount and is always there to chat about different challenges building enterprise software companies. And folks here want to see everyone win, right? It's not this competitive thing where I'm going to wait at their door and be the first one available. They're always available. And I'm going to be the same someday for the next sort of startup batch that comes through. So do appreciate all you folks and all you do for the startups here and hope we can give back.
Last question, Catherine?
Questions, short ones. Which manufacturing industries are you focused on, or are you focused on certain ones? And then secondly, are you also integrating with SAP or Oracle? Because those are the vendors that are most likely to manufacture.
Which manufacturing industries are you working with, and what about the integration with Oracle and SAP? And please answer in haiku, not novel prose.
So we're primarily focused right now on the industrial sector of manufacturing, but we've had several companies recently in the med device, software, hardware. For us, it's endless. Anybody that sells through a channel partner is a fit for us, and so we recognize that and just need to spread our arms. Second question, SAP Oracle. We built our software from the ground up with a really strong API. So advanced programming interface, which means you connect different systems together. We haven't had any customers that have requested Oracle or SAP, but we're connected. We're ready for it. Most of them have Microsoft Dynamics and Salesforce so far, but we also integrate with all the marketing automation systems, Marketo, HubSpot, all that stuff.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. I can do that in haiku. Do you want me to try it? Industrial opportunities are good. What was that? Industrial opportunities are profitable. Challenges and possibilities are endless. Go, Justin, go. Okay, now for a little change of pace, I'd like to introduce Jacinda Swan, who set out to provide a local organic soda option for the whole family and fell in love with a handcrafted, dairy-free probiotic beverage. We love our probiotics. She is now the co-founder and CEO of the Water Kefir People, a beverage line that many are swooning over.
Thank you.
Hi. Ooh. Okay. I'm Jacinda Swan, co-founder of the Water Kefir People. I've been brewing Water Kefir now for over 2 years, and I recently moved myself, my family, and our business to Bend, Oregon from the Hawaiian Islands to introduce our product to a larger market. In the summer of 2014, at the Turtle Bay Ocean Fest on the North Shore of Oahu, my daughter and I, thank you. Thank you, work with me. So I was at the Turtle Bay Ocean Fest with my daughter, and we came across this great new beverage called Water Kefir. It's similar to kombucha, but without that sour, vinegary taste you sometimes get. I started to buy it by the gallon, and my husband and I were fighting over it. It was our new family drink. The creator of this addicting drink was my partner and the founder, food nutritionist and scientist Crystal Basala. She was destined to become my business partner, and I didn't even know it. Many people have never heard of Water Kefir, which makes our product unique. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Water Kefir, let me tell you a little bit more about what it is. Water Kefir is a dairy-free, live probiotic. It's fermented using the Water Kefir culture. Our Water Kefir is handcrafted in small batches and flavored using local and organic teas and juices. We often compare our product to kombucha because both kombucha and Water Kefir are cultured beverages. Kombucha being a cultured tea and Water Kefir being simply a cultured water. One difference is that Water Kefir is a caffeine-free option. Like kombucha, Water Kefir also contains various strains of bacteria and yeast, as well as digestive enzymes and B vitamins. The probiotic beverage market is growing, and people of all ages and backgrounds are beginning to go for these new alternative drink beverages. The grocery stores have even dedicated a whole space in the fresh produce aisle for these probiotic healthy drink alternatives. Kombucha has even become a household name, especially here in Bend. Many families are familiar with kombucha, but the market for kombucha is becoming a little bit saturated. I recently had the honor of meeting the original owners and creators of a beverage called Kevita. Kevita is a sparkling probiotic beverage derived from the kefir culture. They are now producing over 1 million bottles a month out of their facility in California. GT's Kombucha, the largest kombucha brewer in the nation, has even come out with a coconut water kefir beverage. They just launched this month. And Lifeway, a milk kefir, has also launched this month a probiotic elixir. So this creates an amazing opportunity for our new brand to ride on the coattails of these large brands, educating the market about probiotics and Water Kefir. I believe people are ready for a probiotic option that is easy to drink and perfect for all ages to enjoy. And that is why we developed this kid-friendly, non-dairy, probiotic Water Kefir beverage with a line of over 6 different delicious flavors. Please come and try them after PubTalk. We currently retail our drink. It's a 16-ounce beverage for around $3.99, and that keeps us competitive with the kombuchas on the shelves. Our goal is to eventually get this price down to $2.99, where we believe we could double our sales. You can currently find our product on tap at Locavore, U.S. Market, Growler Guys, and next month in April, you can find us at Newport Market. The probiotic market is a $1 billion market, and in the last 5 years, the sales in probiotics have more than doubled. Consumer trends are pushing for probiotics and for more live fermented products. And consumers are moving away from vitamin supplements and towards more functional foods. Research backing the truly healing effects of probiotics are emerging every day. Dr. Stork from The Doctors has even come out with a new best-selling book this month called The Belly Diet, which highlights the power of healing through balancing the microbes in our bodies. So 2 weeks ago, we brought our product to the Natural Products Expo West, the largest natural foods expo in the nation, with over 75,000 attendees from the food industry. The response we got was overwhelming, and everyone wanted to know who's our distributor, where we could get the product. We currently brew and bottle our product ourselves. But we partnered with a manufacturer, and we are currently setting up a manufacturing facility. Right now, we're seeking mentorship and assistance in engineering a facility that can accommodate our brewing needs and that can help us grow. Being a new company to the beverage business and a small startup company, there's much for us to learn. Recently, I got to meet the CEO of Hum, Jamie Danek, who to me is like a movie star. Her knowledge and her genuine willingness to help us was overwhelming. We're totally grateful that she would even meet with us, let alone share with us about growing her small business into this large company. I truly believe that our product could be one of the first Water Kefir brands on shelves in stores across the nation. There's even room and opportunity for new Water Kefir products to emerge, so stay tuned. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you guys with a Water Kefir in your hands.
Thank you. So I got to stay up here with you for some Q&A.
Oh yeah,
okay?
Q&A.
Can I open one and taste it though while we're talking?
Well, I drank off this. Oh yeah, yes, take one of those. Do we have a sample cup up here? Oh yeah. Who has a cup? We have one right there. There's one right there. And please come and try the product after PubTalk. Oh yeah, we'll just fill you up.
Just give me a little bit. Okay. Oh, that's probably better.
We'll fill you up later.
Okay. No, this is awesome because for those of us that try to limit our sugar and don't do caffeine, it's
And for kids.
and that love probiotics.
Yes.
It's an option. But okay, so question and answer. So what is the sugar content?
So it's going to range between the flavors, but typically 1 gram of sugar per ounce. So in a 16-ounce bottle, it averages. So
Hang on.
microbes do need sugar to live. So you could not create a probiotic fermented product without sugar. That is their food source. And we do have a continually fermenting product, so over time it is going to reduce in sugar content.
And it is not overly sweet, I'm saying.
Thank you.
Yes, this is, what
Strawberry
flavor is that?
basil?
Strawberry basil. Yeah, good. Tastes like a fancy cocktail. Hang on a minute, because you've asked a question. Who hasn't? Wendy?
Yeah.
I like kombucha, but kombucha has higher calories than I want to consume unless I'm drinking alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, could you talk about calories and kind of the range of calories? Because we're talking, the questioner was mentioning that there's more calories in some of the drinks than others. So how about that one? And get close to the microphone.
All right. So in a bottle of our product, it's about 60 calories. I don't know what a kombucha is. I can't compare, I'm sorry.
Another question? Amanda?
Yeah, I was wondering, they're sitting out here. Some of the problems with kombucha, it has to stay cold.
Yeah.
Do these have the same requirements on refrigeration, or can they actually be out a little bit?
Does it need to stay refrigerated or can it be left out for a bit?
Our product does require refrigeration. When you leave a product that is live and continually fermenting out on the counter, it will ferment more. And you could have it blow up on you. Not our product, of course, but I've heard of kombuchas who are highly carbonated being left out. We've never had a story of our product doing that. We do ferment for a lot less time than a kombucha. So a kombucha is typically fermented 2 to 4 weeks. Our fermentation time is under 1 week. And we do not add sugar after fermentation. The sugars that remain in the product are residuals.
It's very refreshing, and hydration is key, as we all know. Okay, so I'm going to ask you one more question. This is a bonus question because we have a minute. So, what's something that we haven't asked you and you haven't said that you'd like to say to the audience?
Let's see. Well, I do encourage everyone to try it. We are compared to a kombucha, but we are different from a kombucha. There's really nothing like us on the market, and so we are very unique, but we do need to compare ourselves to something which we base off of kombucha. If you don't like kombucha, please try Water Kefir because it doesn't have that sour taste. It is very smooth and refreshing.
Great, thank you, good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for trying it.
Okay, so thank you, Jacinda, so much for your authenticity and for moving here and for all your hard work. It's a lot of hard work to do something like this, right? Yeah, 3 kids too, and it takes some guts. It takes some guts to do this, yep. Okay, so let's move on to co-founder and CEO Cami Semick from Food for All, a farm-to-table commerce and business management platform creating a dynamic online marketplace for selling, buying, distributing, and delivering local food. Cami?
Great. So if you like the Water Kefir, it will soon be available on Food for All. So we've cut a deal. My name is Cami Semick, and I have lived in Bend for about the last 12 years. I've spent about 14 years in business and technology, and I've worked with companies such as Accenture and PeopleSoft, and I've worked with a handful of startups in the Bay Area. I had the fortunate opportunity when I moved to Bend to become a global athlete for the North Face, which I did for about 8 years before founding Food for All. So Food for All offers tools, technology, and an online marketplace for local food producers to sell to local food buyers. So similar to how Etsy has created a storefront for small crafters, Food for All offers a storefront for farmers, ranchers, and food artisans. And we layer in geolocation to match local food sellers with local food buyers. And similar to how Airbnb offers an option outside of hotels to travelers, Food for All allows shoppers to skip the grocery store and buy directly from their local farmer. The local food industry is large and it's an attractive market. So today it's estimated to be about a $17 billion marketplace, and it's projected to grow to about $20 billion in the next couple of years. But the challenge with local food is really on the supply side. There are thousands of local food producers without a physical storefront. So as a buyer, the best way to buy local food is to go to a farmer's market or to go to a seller's website, typically downloading an order form, printing it out, and sending that in with your check in the mail. So this market is ripe for technology innovation, and particularly on a mobile platform. So Food for All offers a modern mobile technology platform. We use Stripe to process our payments, and for those of you who are familiar with Lyft, Stripe is the same payment processing platform. So we're architected to manage hundreds of thousands of transactions with thousands of sellers at any given time. So the power of Food for All is that a farmer can stand in a field with a smartphone, take a picture of his or her crops, and have that product up available through multiple points of distribution. They can sell that through their website, they can sell that through Facebook, and they can sell through foodforall.com. They can assign wholesale prices and retail prices, quantity limits, availability dates, and then define how that product is to reach the consumer. They can set up their own delivery options or pickup options. And then as a buyer, the power is that through your smartphone, you can find and buy from local producers in your area. So the local food marketplace in this demand, this movement for local food is really being driven, generationally speaking, by millennials. If we look at from a socioeconomic standpoint, a majority of, So the desire to buy local spans all income levels. So 62% of consumers are more likely to buy a food product if it's labeled as local. and they're willing to pay up to a 10% premium for that product. So this consumer demand is pulling restaurants and institutional buyers into the buy local movement. Across the country, over 4,000 school districts have farm-to-school programs in place. And we're also seeing a shift in hospital buying patterns. Take, for example, our local hospital system, St. Charles, has a greening initiative that's tied to a mandate and a budget to purchase more food locally. So competition for the consumer's dollar is coming from two places. So first we have the traditional retailers. So these are the Safeways and the Whole Foods of the world. The challenge with local food is that their buying processes are not set up to buy from a wide number of local vendors. And their cost structures are not set up to accommodate the price of local food. The second area of competition that we see for that consumer's dollar is coming from an increase in online marketplaces, online grocery stores for local food. And what these grocers have done is to take that traditional retailing model and just bring it online. And so a good example of this is a company called Good Eggs. So Good Eggs has raised over $47 million of venture capital in the last 3 years targeting local food. But what Good Eggs has done is they've spent that money building out warehouse, distribution, and delivery facilities. What they haven't done is actually disrupted this marketplace. And this is the opportunity for Food for All. So Food for All is disrupting the marketplace through a new business model. So we offer our technology at no charge to our sellers, and then it's the buyer who is paying a transaction fee. And we call it community-supported software. And so the buyers actually feel good about paying a very small fee in order to support their sellers' use of the software. So who are we? Who is our team? As I mentioned, I have a number of years in the business and technology industry. Tyson Pardue is our technology visionary. Tyson has over 20 years of experience in the technology industry with IBM, Accenture, PeopleSoft, and Workday. Kristen Yurden joins us. Kristen is a recovering foot surgeon. She started the Terrebonne Depot about 10 years ago. She's a farm-to-table chef, and she had a successful exit from the Terrebonne Depot. So Kristen offers subject matter expertise. Debbie Pattenberg has recently joined us. Debbie has over 20 years of experience in sales and marketing, and she's in the role of sales and marketing advisor. Debbie comes to us from a large national level natural food and organic food distributor. So why are we here tonight? We recognize that Bend has a very deep pool of talent in really growing world-class businesses, and that is something that we would like to tap into. We're hoping to speak at the Willamette Venture Conference. I believe that's in May, and then if the timing works out, at the Bend Venture Conference. Thank you.
Thank you. So questions for Cammie? You did a really great job. They don't have any questions. No, Kelly.
How many areas are you in now?
How many geographies are you covering now?
So to answer that question, I'll just give you a little bit of history. We have been in beta in 2016, working locally in Central Oregon. We just opened the doors for business as of February 1st, and we have sellers in Oregon and Washington.
Yes.
Have you experienced any issue, or are you worried about the sellers having incentive to utilize the software without like skin in the game, without having to like pay for it ahead of time and then have a reason to use it if you're not necessarily seeing the return immediately?
So if the sellers aren't seeing a return immediately and they don't have skin in the game, do you see any issue with the adoption and use?
Yeah, so we're immediately able to provide benefit to the sellers because they're not only signing up for Food for All to sell through the Food for All marketplace. What we offer our sellers is efficiency and the ability to sell through their own website. And so that allows the seller to take orders, manage those orders, and then we're, almost a mini ERP system where we're providing order management and reporting, so there is a business reason why they would adopt without having buyers in the platform.
Yes. And then we'll do- Yes.
How are you guys working with regulations, USDA, state, local?
How are you working with regulations, USDA, state, and local?
Yeah, that's a great question. So interestingly, the FDA is the overall governing body for food that's sold in the United States. And the FDA is actually rolling back regulations because they want to encourage more local food buying and selling. USDA then starts to cover more of the meats and the processed foods. So we validate who our sellers are, and we make sure that they have the right certifications in place. And then we start to layer in state and local laws on top of that. And what we're seeing is regulatory deregulation in this area just because it is such an economic boost to a local economy to have food purchased that is produced locally, purchased locally.
Time for one last question?
We have a
Yes.
question from the theater.
Okay, we'll take a question from the theater. Yes?
Are you working with Central Oregon Locavore, and if so, how? Question mark.
Did everyone hear that?
Yeah, actually, we're working with not only Central Oregon Locavore, but the High Desert Food and Farm Alliance. So we are working with Central Oregon Locavore to use them as a drop location. So the farmers who are participating in Food for All can utilize Central Oregon Locavore to drop their food items, and then the benefit for Central Oregon Locavore is foot traffic. But we're also working very closely with a non-for-profit organization, the High Desert Food and Farm Alliance, who has the respect and the connections with the local farmers, and they're very much in support of what we're doing. And we're also, for the High Desert Food and Farm Alliance, creating a virtual food hub.
So you've been waiting really patiently. What's your? How do you handle the movement of the cargo from the producer to the buyer?
So farms who want to take on that role can take that on with Food for All. What we offer is flexibility. So we're working with third-party delivery functions to plug into the system to provide those logistics.
Cami, thank you so much. Awesome job. So we're going to do a quick set change right now, and I'd invite Corey Schmid and Tom Gonser up to the front. We're going to switch some chairs around. I'm going to step down from the podium and kind of explain to you how this will work. Hi. Corey will interview Tom, and at the end of that time, I will stand up on the edge of the stage, and I will repeat the questions as I have for the whole evening. And just a little bit about Tom and Corey. Tom Gonser is the founder of DocuSign and venture partner at Seven Peaks Ventures. He's taken the stage tonight to share more of his journey over the last 13 years about founding DocuSign, navigating the company through explosive growth and hundreds of millions in funding. People. Class. Gator. Janet. I'm joking. I'm giving you a hard time. So let me go back to this just briefly. So Tom and Corey have taken the stage, and Tom's here to share more on his journey over the last 13 years about founding DocuSign, navigating the company through explosive growth and hundreds of millions in funding. Gonser will be joined by his Seven Peaks Venture investing partner, Corey Schmid. And Janet, thanks for being a good sport about being teased. I appreciate that. So, oh, I see. Yeah. Well, we can talk about that later. But Corey and Tom, thank you so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate it.
Can you hear me now? Button.
Oh, it's on.
Oh, yeah.
Now. We can do one at a time.
Take mine, he says.
Hello. Wow. Okay. Julie runs a tight ship, so we'll stay in line. It's a pleasure to be up here and presenting to PubTalk and have the opportunity to chat with Tom. I'm going to rattle off some statistics first on DocuSign. So first of all, how many of you have used DocuSign in the room? I can't see the theater, but I'm
Awesome.
guessing there's.
Can I add one more question to
Yeah.
that? So lots of people use DocuSign. That's awesome. How many people also have it on your phone?
Oh, mobile.
Better.
Okay.
That's better.
Is that
If
good?
you use DocuSign, you should put it on your phone.
Okay, take that as an action. Put mobile DocuSign on. So first question I asked Tom was revenue, and he said no comment. Private company, I'm going to assume it's a lot. To date, so we're in 2017, 250 million unique identities, 250,000 paying customers. You've localized in 43 languages. It's currently being used in 181 countries, and over 130,000 new people use DocuSign every single day. But what's even more interesting about that, so that's about $3 billion worth of documents signed. That would be equivalent to 10 billion pages of paper. So there's a really interesting
Per year.
per year.
Per year, yeah.
Green footprint that DocuSign is displacing about 360,000 barrels of oil, which would be 15 million gallons of gas. So a side note, maybe that wasn't why you went into this, but congrats.
I love the green story, actually.
Yeah.
I was writing a white paper way back when we were getting started, and I had my daughter proofread it. I think she was a freshman in high school. And I kind of went through it and I had her proofread it, and she came back and she said, I actually understand what you do for the first time in my life, and it's really important. She thought that was the most important thing, was the green aspect of not having to cut down trees and make paper, but do it electronically. So I thought that was awesome, especially because she knew what I was actually doing.
That's a lot. So I want to start with DocuSign, because I've heard comments that you're the father of e-signatures, which is pretty impressive. But as I've learned more about you and about DocuSign, there's really more to it. It's a lot more complex. I'm guessing you weren't a success overnight. You founded back in 2003. So I thought you could tell us a little bit about the DocuSign journey when you founded this back in Seattle.
Yeah, I keep saying I started DocuSign about 4 years ago, and it gets longer and longer. That's a lot longer than 4 years ago now. So it's been a long journey. When we started, we really thought we really just needed to solve the electronic signature problem. So back then in 2003, it really wasn't done unless you were using very complicated technology. And the real first objective was, let's make signing really easy so everyone can actually do it and not have to have really complicated software or a PhD in technology. The pen isn't that broken, right? That's what we're replacing. And we really thought, once you get the ability to sign, how many ways can people sign anyway? There can't be that many. Well, our customers, after the first year, we figured it out. Because what we did is we turned it inside out, really. We started using the browser instead of using software. And before, you'd have to have software, and whoever you're sending to would have to have software. That wasn't working. So our novel shift was to say, rather than encrypting documents and emailing them around, we'll put them in the cloud. Except it wasn't called the cloud back then. It was just a server. And we'll have people go to the server in order to get the document, and that way all you need is a browser. And we made it familiar. We focused on using the little yellow sticky tab, sign here, initial here, made it look exactly like what people were familiar with, and didn't talk about technology. And a year into it, our customers came back and said, this is fantastic, we love it, but that might not be the whole problem. I think the problem is We didn't automate these business processes because it needed a signature and a form and a bunch of other stuff. And if all you let me do is get the signature done, you didn't really solve the whole thing. We really need you to digitize that whole document life cycle, which was a much bigger task than we thought we were setting out to do. And I remember about the same time, we had gotten into real estate, was one of our earlier markets. Are there realtors in here? Yeah. It's been a market that had been using DocuSign for a long time. And I remember, there was a company called ZipLogix. It's called ZipForm back then. And they decided that we had the coolest thing in the world, and they would build it right into their software. And here we are, a 6-person company in Seattle, and ZipForm had 600,000 agents. So we thought, this is home run. We'll integrate it into the app, and everything will take off from there. And we integrated into the app, and we launched it, and the line went, it didn't do the big kick up. So we thought, what is going on? Why are people not just jumping on this? We did a focus group. We brought in people who use the software, real estate agents, mortgage people, general business people, and showed them a product and showed them the little sticky tab and how you can get through the document quickly and how easy it was. And they all said, that is fantastic. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I said, so you're going to use it in your business? And they said, no, of course not. Well, why? Well, something bad might happen. This is 2004. We're afraid of identities being stolen, and these are real estate documents. These are, mortgage documents. This is scary. And so I said, well, what technology can I tell you we use, or what legal framework that we adhere to make you feel better? And they said, well, we're not lawyers or technologists, so that won't work. And I said, what if the Bank of America used it? Well, that'd be fine. Or Microsoft. If they use it, then we're totally happy because they have those teams that study all that stuff, and if they do it, then we'll be fine. So if you're a small company, you're selling to small business, and what you hear is this sea change you're trying to create means you now have to go sell giant corporations to use your product, it's just a devastating, okay, hold on, we might need to raise more money. And then the first customer we landed was GE.
When was that? What year?
2007.
Okay. 4 years in.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
In GE, we passed their Circle of Excellence. We got this thing running, and they had an amazing financial, win. And they said, of course, you can't tell anybody we're using this. Secret. So, but eventually it got out.
So I'm curious, you were actually just at South by Southwest and talking about identity. And the thing that really struck me with DocuSign is that it's clearly more than a signature. It's really enforceability, that this is me. So tell us a little bit about the breadth of the offering that DocuSign has.
Yeah, so there's two things that are sort of, most people see DocuSign, they see it when they're interfacing with a document and they sign it, and that's what DocuSign does. What's hidden behind that is a bunch of stuff. On one hand is the legality and the enforceability side, and the other hand is the workflow side. So a business that deploys this is actually built it into a workflow that's connected to a lot of other systems. And if you've ever seen T-Mobile's Just Upgrade My Phone program, 2,600 stores across the country, that's actually running on our platform. The only time people see it is when they're signing something, but all of the information that's carried in those contracts is being distributed on the back end by the DocuSign system into other databases of record. And then in terms of enforceability, a lot of people don't really understand that in order for an electronic record to be enforceable, it has to be some kind of special record. You can't just have a picture of your signature pasted into a document. That actually is dangerous because that means someone can take that document, pick your signature up, put it in another document and say you did that too. So that has no value. And so really the task of a legally acceptable, legally enforceable electronic record system is to bind the identity of the person who's agreeing to the contract into that contract in a way that shows that it was them in any number of steps, and in a way that means after they sign the contract, you can't change the terms and have it be, hidden. And so that takes a lot of work to make it invisible to people. That takes a lot of work. But in fact, if you were to tamper with a DocuSign agreement, it will tell the next person who looks at it exactly where the tamper was and what happened. So there's a lot going on underneath to protect people from sort of these scribble sign problems that they had in the past.
Has anyone tried to tamper with a document? No hands. I bet someone has in this room. But so big problem. It takes sophisticated solutions and clearly talent. You're now 2,300 employees around the globe. Offices in Tel Aviv, Tokyo, Seattle, San Francisco, Bend.
Bend. Office of one.
That's not easy, and I'm curious. You opened your second office in San Francisco in 2010. That's a big move, right? You've got your core in Seattle. You're moving the first office, opening the second office. How do you reinforce your vision, the mission, and ensure that everyone is working together as you expand and as you're growing now at the scale you're at?
Yeah, it's really hard. First of all, you have to do it on purpose. So we have a pretty well done onboarding system for our new employees, and they go through a process to learn what we do and why it's important and how they connect with our customers and how the company gets things done. And then we do a lot of other things to sort of keep the culture fun and moving fast and innovative. I got scheduled for this with you last year, and then they scheduled something in Seattle called a hackathon, where we have 350 of our engineers and product folks in Seattle for 2 days, and they are having a blast. They stayed up all night last night. They broke into teams, and their product and sales and whoever they want to put on their team, they got to have a couple engineers because they actually have to build something. And then they build something that extends or is the next great feature for the DocuSign platform or something they heard customers were interested in. And there's about 50 of these new projects. And so the management team gets a chance to interface with our engineers and our product folks right in the middle of their creativity. And it's really, really cool to be able to have that sort of face-to-face time with people. But it gets really hard when you spread out over the globe. The cool thing about the hackathon is there's people from all of our offices there. So Tel Aviv, Paris, London, Dublin, all in Seattle, and all doing this thing. So they'll all go back out to the rest of the world with this sort of centralized, first of all, incredible momentum because it's super fun, but also kind of a common thread. And I think it's really important as you grow, especially internationally, to try to bridge that gap. It's expensive to bring people into one place, but it's really worth it.
Well, so you founded this in Seattle, which is a Pacific Northwest hub. Justin spoke to this as well. What was it like opening that first office in San Francisco, and how did that go?
It was sort of scary to begin with. First of all, San Francisco is a totally different market than Seattle, and we had 5 people in the San Francisco office and 200 people in Seattle. And so that when you have one office, everybody's sort of on the same page. Everybody goes to the same place. You're all in the same place. When you have another office, just one, that's them. That's them, and we are Seattle, and they are San Francisco. And it's really weird how that happens, and we had to work really hard to bridge that. It's also really easy for people to say, as you hire people in San Francisco, when you're at company events, they'll say, well, in San Francisco, technology just moves way faster than it does in Seattle. That doesn't make people in Seattle very happy. So you really have to coach people about, you're all one team, except during football season. You're all one team.
And maybe March Madness, but we'll come back to that because I think it's interesting, and I think there's honestly a little bit of fear every now and then for a region like Bend that you get an investor that comes in and says, we'll invest, but you need to move to San Francisco. So I want to tug on that a little bit more later. We can have more DocuSign questions later, but I want to move to you a little bit more about Tom. So this was not your first rodeo. As we said, this was not your first startup, and you founded DocuSign in 2003. And I think the most intriguing thing that I've learned about you is that you opted not to be the CEO. And I'm really curious about the journey of one. I did some crowdsourcing of questions, by the way. And a question was it an idea or you wanted to start a business? I think I know what the answer is. And why did you make that decision along the way? And how has that manifested in the growth and success of DocuSign?
So I've started a lot of companies. And I've started a lot of companies that didn't work, which is, I learned a lot doing that, actually. But this one in particular is really one of those things that I really woke up in the morning and said, I'm thinking about something no one else is thinking about. And it was turning the document signing process inside out and using the server instead of encrypting documents. And I was really focused on being successful as a company because it was one of those things that I knew was inevitable. It's inevitable that you're not going to be running around shoving paper in envelopes some years from now. And so I was really focused on making sure that was successful. In my last companies that I was the CEO of, I kind of pissed off my product and engineering people because I have a very strong connection with product and market fit. I'm in the customer's mind all the time. And so I'd hire wonderful people. They do great jobs. And then I would say, well, we should tweak this and tweak that. And they're like, you hired me because I'm good at product, right? Not so you can just keep coming and changing everything. And so this time I decided, hey, I know what I'm passionate about and I know what I'm good at. I want the company to win. This isn't about me being the CEO of a company. This is about making DocuSign the world leader in changing the way people do business. And so with that mindset, you sort of shift from what's my role in this to what's DocuSign's role in its ultimate vision. And how many people do I need to get to do that? And what are the best people for that? And so we were able to pull in the right people for the right time as we've grown. And it's very different. When you're 5 people in a garage and you're bootstrapping, is really different than when you have 2,500 people and you're growing at a huge rate and you're in 50 different offices.
I mean, you're now the $3 billion valuation I've seen thrown around. So I'm curious how you've been able to be in the founder position on the board, navigate through those different growth stages, and how many CEOs and at what different inflection points did you?
Oh, come on, don't ask me that. How many CEOs? I can't even count them.
Okay, we'll take that one off. But where are those inflection points where the company changes and it's really a different DNA to lead the team?
Yeah. So when you're early stage, it's rah, we're going to take over the world. We haven't really gotten started yet, so we've got a couple customers. So I'm telling you right now we're going to do 100K MRR, and next year we're going to do 1 billion MRR, because there's only one dot so far. And we've got to believe that we're going to take over the world like that. You've just got to go, go, go. Then when you have more than one dot, you can't say 100, 200, 1 billion anymore. You've got to say 100, 200, 400. You have to start being rational about the growth. And from how much money you need, how many people you need, where you spend your money, you have to start being a little bit more rational about that. Because your first few rounds are really the most expensive by a long way. And so we were able to grow the idea rapidly, and then the world did not just beat a path to the door and everybody used DocuSign in the first year. It took years for this culture to shift. And there was a lot of work in a lot of places, which cost a lot of money and was really a challenge. During that time, you need leadership that's going to be responsible with money and be really careful about, we might need to live through a nuclear winter for this. And then when it starts to take off like crazy again, you need to take off like crazy again. So different people in those different roles. For us, in this particular case, has been really good. There definitely are CEOs who can shift gears and do that. And there's lots of examples of that. Leadership teams, I would say, even, not just CEOs.
Sure. No, I think it's really interesting, and it's something that we'll talk a little more about this, but having Tom as a partner, an investment fund, for him to share that with entrepreneurs, because I think there's this pressure sometimes that you've got the idea and you've got to be the only one that can grow it to the scale that you have, and they're really different skill sets. So,
it's all about the team, too.
Yeah. So as a team, you've raised a little bit of capital in your time. I think with DocuSign alone, over $500 million, which for some in the room...
I owe a lot of money to a lot of
people.
people.
So it's a bit of a target on your back. That might scare some folks, but over the course of raising that money, what was the DNA of the investors, the advisors, the mentors that you circled yourself with that were required to help you get to the phase you were, the CEOs? What were you looking for? Because I'm guessing you had some choices at the table as you got bigger.
Sure.
To bring in the right investors to help you.
Yeah, and I think when you're early stage, so I've done this a few times, and sometimes they don't work, sometimes they do. But I also learned what you look for in your early venture folks. I mean, I've taken money from people just for money, and the problem with that is that's all they want out. That they're not necessarily bought into the vision. So this time we looked for people who were bought into the vision completely, so that they would stick and stay and help. And Pete Solvik on our board is a ex-CIO from Cisco, and very well connected in the CIO community. So when you're about to do a pitch at a big CIO event, you can sit down with Pete and say, this is what I'm about to say to these guys. What do you think? And he shredded it to bits. He said, they will not understand that. You need to talk like this to CIOs and this and this and this. So the kind of venture folks that can actually sit down and help you and coach you along the way so that you can be successful are very important. When you get, $500 and some million, $300 million was the last round.
Small round.
So, and it was the easiest one by a long way. That was money. That was really just money. That's investors putting money in the company. And hopefully will hold past any event, but that's very different. Early days, really important to have folks you can work with who have the same vision you have.
Well, and I'm curious, you've clearly taken that to heart. And for folks that don't know, Tom moved to Bend a couple years ago. I think you thought you were dreaming of golfing and retiring and taking a little step back, but you started looking around and identified, I think, that you wanted to take the step across the table, step in as an advisor, mentor, investor to give back. So I'm curious I would love to ask what's next for DocuSign, but you're probably going to say no comment. So I'm curious what's next for you.
No, I think it's really interesting. I did decide last year to step down from doing day-to-day stuff and focus on the board and strategic at DocuSign. And so we bought a place in Bend, and I thought, this will be great. Every few weeks, I'll just come up here and play golf and go fly fishing and hang out. And it turns out I can hang out for about a day. And then I start wondering, what else can you do in Bend? I wonder if there's any tech going on in Bend. My wife is just crazy with, she's like, stop, you need to relax. I did yesterday, I relaxed. And so I had a thought in the back of my head, and I thought, because I've done so much with venture on the other side, taken so much money, but there are always firms, not always, but typically firms with people who aren't operators of today's stuff. And so I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have a venture fund that was focused on early stage companies with people who have been in early stage companies and been in these situations and could do that from Bend. And then I looked online and I found out there was already one. And so I ran into Dino and the whole team, and it was a mind meld. It was just fantastic to meet such a great team. And I think what happens is a lot of people come from Silicon Valley and Seattle, and they come to Bend for the same reason I did. It's a lot nicer here than it is in those busy places. And then they have the same thing happen to them. What else can I do in Bend besides hanging out? And can I contribute? So there's a unique thing going on in Bend with some brain cells and technology that can get together and actually create, I think, a very unique value-added venture fund that is pretty hard to find anywhere else.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm curious what you see as the opportunities in Bend. So I look around, I see a lot of young entrepreneurs, investors, folks that want to get involved. What do you see as the opportunities and risks, and what's missing here?
Yeah, we already heard it's tough in Bend if you're a small tech company. And I've also had a chance to talk with Kyle at Navis about a big tech company. And it's tougher from a hiring perspective, but I really believe there are people outside Bend who don't realize that you have a strategic advantage here, in that if you were to start a company in Silicon Valley, you are going to pay a lot more for everybody. They're going to be less loyal because even though you pay them more, they're not going to be paid enough. So as soon as they get another offer, they're going to leave. You're not going to buy a house. That's not going to happen. Your commute's going to be at least an hour. And if you add all that up, it doesn't make a very good thing. If you're trying to start a company, you want as much time as I can possibly get working on that, not except for the 10 hours a week I'm in the car. And I want loyalty. I want people to be able to focus. And so I think from an economic advantage, if you start a company in Bend, or not the San Francisco Bay Area, but a smaller town, you have a strategic advantage in that. You can get farther with less capital, assuming you can find the right people.
How do you overcome the red flag that Justin mentioned, where investors see that as a potential risk?
Some success. That's really what it takes. And we've got some, and we're getting more. But I think as those things start to click off, I was talking to somebody the other day about as I've been able to travel around different markets, it was in Austin and South by Southwest and Scottsdale and Salt Lake. Those places are really different now than they were 10 years ago. 10 years ago, if you want to start a company, John Doerr said you have to move to Silicon Valley or I'm not going to invest in your company. That's just not what people are saying now. Even Sergey at Google said, don't come here and start a company. It's too expensive.
We just saw an article, a company paying $10,000 for employees to go move elsewhere, work for his company, but reduce their overhead cost. I mean, that's awesome. Continuing on the regional thread, what do you see as the strengths of the region from a tech perspective, entrepreneurs, opportunities? What trends are you looking at and what excites you as an investor?
Well, I'm tracking things that I know. So enterprise digitization. We created a category called digital transaction management, which if you're an enterprise CIO makes sense, but most other people it doesn't. But it's about businesses getting rid of these laborious manual processes and starting to replace them with digital processes. And there's 100 different things that can be done in that space. So I look at companies in the SaaS market that are solving that problem, and it gets me really excited. I was at South by Southwest on a panel for identity, and that's an enormous problem. But people don't really realize what a problem it is until they really take stock of what they're dealing with themselves. I found out I have 295 different identities that I'm managing, meaning passwords and usernames and things for different places I go. That's terrible, and it's not secure. And the identity market is poised for some shifts where you would actually be able to get a stronger identity that can replace your 295 passwords and give you one thing you can really rely on and trust that the banks would accept and everybody else would accept. And that we're right on the cusp of that. It's very interesting to me to see this, and there's companies all over the place really innovating hard on that.
I'd love for you to impart a little bit of wisdom on the next entrepreneurs, and something that really resonated for me was you said, I've realized what I'm good at and what I'm passionate about, and that's helped dictate what you've leaned into. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, no, I think if you're starting a company, it clearly has to be a passion. I mean, you're going to do this. But put it this way, passion almost crazy, because starting a company usually doesn't work. I mean, it just statistically usually doesn't work. So passion is required because you're going to go do this 7 by 24 until it does. I also think it's important to have a unique perspective on something. I mean, if you have an idea that other people haven't seen because you were in one industry and you moved to another, or you just noticed something that other people don't see yet, that's a recipe for an amazing, head start on somebody. And so the passion to do that is really important. The unique angle on the market's important. And then what's just as important is you got to find a couple other people who can be as crazy as you are. I mean, you really need to get that core team together. You can't do it yourself. You got to find some other people. And I remember asking several people, hey, I'm doing this thing in Seattle, DocuSign, it's going to be amazing. Electronic signatures. No, oh, that's cool. Well, what I need you to do is quit your job at Microsoft and come work with me for free. That's a great test to see if they're crazy or not.
How many crazies did you get to join the bus early on?
Three.
Are they still with the company?
No.
One crazy left standing.
But they did great. They did great.
One last and probably the most important question. I know you're a Husky through and through. The Ducks just
There's some
won.
hidden Husky fans in here,
Yeah.
I know.
The Ducks just won. So
That's
who are you
awesome.
putting your money on for March Madness?
My bracket broke a long time ago in March Madness.
I'm
I'm still pulling for the Pac-12, though. We're showing very well this year.
Okay. I know folks have a lot of questions for Tom, and he's a phenomenal guest to have, so I definitely want to open it up for audience questions.
Let's do that. Who has a question? Janet.
So, when you talk about getting rid of all these passwords and all of this into one thing, is that kind of connected to blockchain where, where the security issues is that you have your password and whoever you're dealing with has the connection so that it becomes a secure transaction?
So this is a powerful question. Security. Let's talk about security.
Yeah, so no, it's a good question because the blockchain is not well understood in terms of what it actually does and doesn't do. It is a distributed database that has some really strong ability to show something that occurred, but it's not an identity. The identity thing I'm talking about is a distributed identity. I think centralized identity, government identity, it doesn't work. It's never worked. But a distributed identity that an individual can build the depth of credential does work. But it's got to be owned by the person with the identity, because how much I need is up to me. How much information I want to share is up to me. And it's not a, I don't think it's going to work like it does in civil law countries where the government says everybody must get an ID card on Thursday. That's not going to happen here.
Thank you for that. That's a good question. So other questions from the audience? One in the back. One in the back. Can't see you, but yes, please go ahead.
What are some opportunities for startups to solve problems that you have seen at DocuSign that you weren't able to solve?
Yet.
What are some opportunities for entrepreneurs to come up with solutions for that you've seen at DocuSign but you haven't solved yet?
There's a whole bunch of applications to extend what we do into vertical markets. So if you think about the platform we have, it's a horizontal platform that knows how to make document workflow happen smoothly. We've taken it into a couple of markets. Real estate is one. We may or may not take it into mortgage. But there are hundreds of vertical markets where specialization can happen, where somebody can say, I actually know the workflow for a particular vertical, and I can actually leverage the DocuSign API and build an application that actually can bring to market there. I'm seeing it happen right now. I actually met with a company that's working with DocuSign in a particular market. Our sales force, when they hear from customers in that market, actually bring these folks in to help close deals. So there's a whole bunch of verticalization, identity proofing tools. Invent a killer identity proofing tool. We added to the platform. Local implementation. I mean, businesses don't just buy it off the website and turn it on and work it. They actually want to integrate it into something like Salesforce or Oracle or SAP or whatever. So if you have expertise in those platforms, absolutely, there's value there.
Excellent, thank you. Other questions? Yes, right here, straight from front of me. Yep. So the market difference between encryption and server use.
So if you're, I would be comparing me, myself as an individual using software on my desktop to encrypt a file, then email that to somebody else so that they could decrypt it with the same software and we can have a conversation that way, versus what we do today where we put the document in the cloud and we encrypt it, lock it down, and then people visit the document. The encrypted model before with software is pretty much gone. And I don't know of any volume that's happening there. I mean, I suppose in the federal government there could be some use cases where they own all the desktops and they want to email an encrypted file back and forth. But the SaaS model, the server model of using encryption in the center and not having to send encrypted files across the internet is just a lot more efficient.
Yes, Dana. So if you're a founder and you're at the very beginning of building a SaaS company, what are the top three attributes that you'd look for in hires?
So depends on who you are. For me, I can code, but I'm not a really good coder. So for me, I needed someone who was really good in engineering and could hear what I was talking about and be able to say, I can actually build that. Otherwise, I have no product. I also needed somebody who could help me raise money. I mean, I think if this is the first time you've raised money, it's difficult to do it. So having someone on the team who's done that before is very helpful. I think also having other people on the team who just are really good at getting customers to talk to them. I mean, I like doing that, but you can't have too many of those people. We had a guy on our team, Steve Woodworth, who was an all-points player. He could play any role in the company, anytime. I mean, he couldn't code, but he could pretend. But he was fantastic. I mean, he was good at everything we put him on. And part of our success is because you have somebody like that When everyone's busy, someone can just pick up the ball and do it anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that it's possible to hack private servers, which may or may not be true. But if it is, to what extent do doing more and more electronic business activities, to what extent are they vulnerable to hackers who can get access to the information and perhaps use it?
So,
Advantage of the people who use these services.
so if private servers can be hacked, what are the increased risk regarding, if we have more and more documents that are on those, what are the risks and what can we do?
Good question. It's a question that we get asked in Europe all the time. A private server, like the server that's sitting in my office in my house, is pretty good. I've got virus software and I've got some firewalls set up, but you could, if you really wanted to get in, you could probably crack into it. Cracking into our data center servers is a completely different story. We run in a configuration we call active, active, active. So there's one data set. There's 3 different data centers geographically dispersed, all sharing information, all encrypted. Every single piece is encrypted. So to break into that data center and actually find some data that made sense would be, it's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. It's probably not the way a threat vector would be successful. It's probably some other way in through a user, but it's not going to be hacking the server, as it were, for systems like this. Storing documents in your home system, yeah, I mean, or on your phone, those probably could get hacked.
So thank you so much.
Julie?
Yes.
Sorry.
Mom?
Hello. We have a question in the theater.
Curfew.
Sorry, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so, well, that's got a little bit of feedback. So can you give us an example of where you had to pivot with DocuSign, something that you planned to do that didn't work exactly as you thought, and maybe just give us an example of lessons learned?
So something that wasn't working where you pivoted, and that'll be your final bonus question for tonight.
Okay. So many pivots. Well, the biggest one was shifting from selling to small business to having to sell to big business. That was an enormous shift for the business because we weren't tailored or tuned, didn't have the people to really do that. The other one was when we went to Europe and we said, you can use this great service from DocuSign. And they said, that does not work here. You need to do something different. We actually had to do 3 acquisitions to actually build the technology and put the people in the company to actually rapidly deploy a service that would work there. We had no plans of doing that when we started. So there's so many others, though. Come and talk to me afterwards. I can tell you some of them, and some of them I can't.
Awesome. So again, thank you so much, Corey and Tom, for being here. Thank you for all that Seven Peaks does in Oregon and the Pacific Northwest. And thank you all for being here. I'm going to walk around and just check my script to make sure I didn't forget to say anything important to you. I know you're hanging on every word here. So, there is this most important part of the program, which is that when you do a keynote speech, you get your own tankard.
Nice.
I got one, you got one, we all got one. And if you bring it back to PubTalk, McMenamins will fill it up.
Awesome.
And you can actually get it filled up tonight, probably, if you want to also. But good job, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being such a great audience. Thank you for all that you do in the community. And if I don't see you in the next 30 days, I'll see you at the next PubTalk. Take care.
Thank you.